this journey.
Yeah, because not often do I see a transition from IIT to IP, right? So that's very interesting. Right? So what is an IP strategy, and what are the benefits to a company when they implement an IP strategy?
An IP strategy is basically its business strategy. It's application of information that you get from IP,
Mhm.
and application of your own IP to achieve business goals. Say also if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing a business plan, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things you're required to address is like what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and or it could be, are there any barriers to entry for you to enter certain markets? So these aspects that go into the business plan, okay, they also can be derived from IP strategy. The company's valuation increases tremendously. Their market capitalization can also go up significantly. New channels for generating revenue open up for the company, and
Okay.
it's about motivating, incentivizing, rewarding, recognizing your top engineering talent, right, and retaining them in the company, creating like that award-winning innovation culture, which say a company like Google has done very successfully, right? The best engineers in the world want to work for Google, and how have they created that culture? And in terms of marketing, like I said, how do you get an edge over your competitors? So in the market, of course, like there are various factors, right, that determine your success in the market. But if you have the ability to exclude your competitors from entering a particular market using a particular technology, right? That gives you a huge edge, and you can price yourself higher than your competitors, and you can increase your profit margins.
People are the most valuable assets of the organization. What is your take on that from an IP perspective?
The assets create wealth. So, and yes, people have the potential to generate assets and to generate wealth. So that's where IP comes into the picture. So IP is like the missing link between the human potential, the human talent and creativity, and wealth. So let me take the example of an Indian company, which is also one of my clients, Afif.
Mhm.
They are among the top 10 fastest growing companies in India. They are
Okay.
Sankhya Labs, which is
Okay.
a fabless semiconductor company. And right from the beginning, so the founders of Sankhya Labs, they already had exposure to this kind of award-winning culture. So this company has actually created a portfolio of patents, like more than 30 unique patent applications, right? Out of which, say, we have got about 25 issued or granted patents for Sankhya Labs. And this company has also leveraged this patent portfolio in terms of uh, reporting to their investors, right? So they have got the patent portfolio valued. They've done a valuation. So it actually shows up as a increase in the value of the company for investors, which can have a huge impact in any sort of important milestone in the company's journey, which could be fundraising, it could be mergers, acquisitions, all these things. So Sankhya is actually some of the patents that they have come up with, right? They even have an impact on 5G and next generation telecommunications technologies. And so because of this, they are also applying for patents in the not only in the US, which is a major market for them, but also in say South Korea and Japan, so these are all big markets too. So if they have these patterns, or even if say they currently do not have the ability to deploy their technology, say in South Korea or in Japan, right? So, but yet, how do they tap into these markets? How do they make money from these markets, right? So suppose they enter into a strategic partnership with a company there in Japan or in South Korea, and they license their IP to those companies, right?
Mhm.
So that company can take that technology, build it, and sell it and monetize it, and then Sankhya can get a royalty, a licensing revenue from those companies. So
Great.
basically, it's like you created once, and even though you may deploy it in certain markets where you are more, which are more accessible to you, right? You can still make money from all the other markets provided you protect your IP there.
Great. I think that's a great example, Arjun. Thanks for sharing an example of your client and how they're actually monetizing with the human IP capital as well.
The IP is always it's about the future, Afif. That it's like that's the beauty of IP assets, because they are kind of, to some extent, they are, since we are already protecting something which is going to be commercialized in the future. So we are already thinking about the future. So in that sense, IP assets are somewhat future ready. The beauty of the patent, right, Afif, is that it's a 20-year term. That a company has exclusivity in the market for not like 2 years or 3 years, but for 20 years. So you can just imagine, how much you can exploit that asset commercially, and how you can monetize it. So the market today, the market might be down, but tomorrow the same thing, it may grow suddenly. You never know.
So what would you recommend to a company on how they can create a culture of innovation, or if they have a culture of innovation, how can they enhance that culture of innovation?
There is innovation happening, no doubt about it. It's kind of confined to like 5% of the technical team. Mm-hmm. So you'll actually find that there'll be like a few brilliant inventors who have got like 20, 30, 50, 100 patents even in their name. And on the other hand, you'll have like thousands of other engineers who have not even filed a single patent, who have not even come up with one invention. It's really like an iceberg, where most of the iceberg is under the water. Mm-hmm. And you see that 5% on the top, and that's that you think that is innovation. So even in some of the most innovative companies, you'll find that there are only like some of the most senior people, or those who have previously worked in these large companies, who have already got that culture. They know what it's like, so mm-hmm. they already have that culture. But then now as they are growing, right, they are recruiting young people who are out of college, or who have a couple of years experience. Now those people have never experienced what it's like to go through this process of coming up with an innovation and patenting it and all that. Mm-hmm. So if they're given exposure to this process early on in their career, right, over a span of 20, 30 years going forward, they can come up with like hundreds or thousands of innovations, even, Afif. Because these young people today, they're so brilliant. Really, it's even college students or even school students are coming up with inventions, and they are getting patents granted. So obviously, that the engineers who are working in these companies, who have a couple of years experience and who have already got exposure to cutting edge technologies, right? They are definitely capable of coming up with brilliant inventions which can be patented and which can be monetized on a global basis. So what is but why is it that this is not happening? It's very simple, Afif. Like depending upon what you tell your engineers to focus on, right, they will spend their time according to that. So one thing that Google did was they gave some extra time to the engineers, and they said, use this time to just come up with ideas. So it's not like dedicated for any project or any customer or something like that. Just be creative, So at least giving the employees some freedom to explore their creativity, right? I think that is a very important thing that companies can start with. If the employees are just caught up with just meeting deadlines on product launches and stuff like that, they won't have time to think about how to improve the product, how to deliver a better experience to the customer, how to make it faster, or all these things, right? So that's one thing that has to come from the top management. Have to tell the employees that you have some freedom to come up with some creative ideas, right? And so if they do come up with some ideas like that, it's very important to nurture those ideas. So they are like seeds, So it's like at an early stage, they need to be incubated. So if the management kind of rejects their ideas or speaks harshly to them, or criticizes them for coming up with creative ideas, right? Mm-hmm. Then they're never going to speak up. They're not going to contribute those ideas to the company. Instead, what they're going to do is they're going to like resent the company, and they're going to like potentially quit the company and do a startup of their own. which is what happened to Eric Yuan. He was a employee of Cisco WebEx, right? And he came up with the idea of making their conference tool more user friendly, and he pitched it to the management, and they rejected it. So what did he do instead? He quit the company and he started Zoom Communications, and that is now the largest, most widely used video conferencing tool currently. I mean, definitely one of the top, right? So basically, you have the choice. So either you nurture the innovation within your own company, or you groom your future competitors, right? So, for example, if the company, proactively identifies a bunch of problem statements which are very relevant to their business. So, for example, the Indian government is doing that, right? They're saying that now India wants to become Atmanirbhar and all that. So let's build a Indian video conferencing app, right? So like that, because they know that this is the future. India needs to solve this problem if we have to be self-sufficient. So like that, every company will have a set of problems which will be impacting their industry. So they can come up with those problems and throw open those challenges to their own engineering team and tell them you take some time out and you work on these problems. And so the employee comes up with a solution to one of those problems. We know that it's already aligned to the company's business strategy, right? So the company will be interested in investing in pursuing those ideas and taking them to the market. Okay, assuming it passes that criteria, it's new and it's inventive and all that, then the next step would be to prepare and get a patent application file. And companies have this incentive program where, say, if an inventor contributes an idea, he's given some small reward, right? It could be like a movie ticket, or it could be a trip or something like that. And then that idea gets filed as a patent. Then he's given some cash prize for that, right? And the patent gets granted, then one more incentive.
Right.
And if the company starts making money from licensing that, then they can share something with the inventor. So these are all possibilities, different ways, I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, I think these are all great ideas that you shared, Arjun, and I think it at least starts putting certain thoughts in companies that haven't really started looking at creating that culture of innovation within their employees. I think some of the suggestions you've recommended are definitely spot on, and can at least, even if you have, let's say, 0%, you can at least move up to 10 or 20% from this point forward. At the same time, companies that already have a culture of innovation, I think the earlier point that you mentioned in terms of how can you ensure that you have that I would say that ideating capital, right? That human capital that provides these ideation and innovative ideas. How can that also be contained to the maximum possible, right? And the important role that IP and IP strategy actually plays. Yeah. So, where do you see the trend in India when it comes to patents? We know that there was a comparison sometime back in terms of India versus China or US and a couple of other countries, and India was actually in terms of percentage it was nowhere there. Do you see a difference in the trend right now?
More than 80% of the patents that are filed in Indian Patent Office, right? Those are by foreign companies. So the foreign companies are actually protecting their territory in India using the Indian patents, right? When the Indian companies are not even doing that in their own country. So that is the situation. That's how it has been for a very long time. But I'll tell you, there's some very interesting trend that we are observing now, which is a lot of patents are being filed by startup companies who are in India. And they start by applying for patents in the Indian Patent Office. We should patent where the market is. So another interesting trend that we are observing, Afif, is that a lot of these startups are now going after these global markets, including in the US, and it could be in Europe and Japan and all that. And they are getting patents from India, right? They are innovating in India, but they are patenting, they're creating a territory, exclusive rights, monopoly in foreign markets.
I think we've covered a lot of topics today, right from human capital to how companies can actually apply IP in in creating a culture of innovation as well. Arjun, thank you so much for your time. That was very informative, and look forward to more information from you in our coming program.
Thanks, Afif. It was a pleasure.